Hello and welcome. Today we have an unboxing video of the Lenovo Flex 3-1130. This is an 11-inch laptop featuring an Intel Celeron N3050 processor running at 1.6 GHz and 4 GB of RAM. The screen is 11.6 inches with a resolution of 1366 by 768 and features touchscreen capability plus a full rotation allowing the unit to be used as a tablet. The Celeron processor is a dual-core processor from the Braswell family of cores. I bought this system from the local Best Buy as there was not really any other good electronics store available locally. I did get a pretty good deal on it, however, paying only $250 for a laptop that retails for $330. Why did I decide to purchase this system? Well, I needed a relatively small system that I could take through airports that I was not afraid of breaking, having it lost or stolen, or otherwise losing the investment. I have another laptop for work that is much more expensive, and the thought of losing it when traveling internationally was not a good one. Here's the box it came in. As it is not being shipped in this box, it seems to be a relatively solid structure. The only thing interesting about this box is one of the decals affixed to it. On the outside of this box, there was a warning label. It reads, "This product contains chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer and birth defects or other reproductive harm." Well, all I can say is, I'm really happy I don't live in California where this box and the contents within will cause me cancer. On the right side of the machine, from left to right, we see an LED that gives the battery status for the machine. This can indicate whether the battery is charged, how much charge is left in the battery, etc. Next is the power button, which also has an LED in it that tells you whether or not the system is on and also indicates sleep mode. There is then a recessed button that can only be accessed with a straightened paperclip. This is something called the Lenovo button, which apparently allows you to enter the system recovery, the BIOS, or the boot selection menu. I have not tried this button yet, but I was able to get into the BIOS using a key combination on the keyboard. After this we have two USB ports, one of which has a blue color to it to indicate that it is a USB 3.0 port. Next is an HDMI port for use with projectors or external monitors. Finally, there is an RJ45 port for Ethernet connectivity. On the left side of the machine, the first thing we have is a Kensington slot for a locking device. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been working with computers for a good portion of my life, and I have yet to see one of these devices actually used. Next in line is the receptacle for the power plug. This is actually a plug that I have not seen before. The nice thing about this plug is that it appears to be universally oriented, so I do not have to figure out the perfect orientation for it to plug in the way we do with USB cables. Which leads to the next port, which is a standard USB 2.0 port. There are ports on either side of the system for USB devices, but only the right side of the system has a USB 3.0 port. Following that is a memory card reader, which supports 4 different cards. These include SD, SDHC, SDXC, and MMC cards. A combo audio jack is next, which allows for a headphone with microphone setup to be plugged in using a 3.5mm TRRS connector. The connector allows stereo audio and a microphone input. TRRS stands for tip ring ring sleeve, which means that there are 3 conductors in the wire plus a ground. Next is a screen rotation lock button. This keeps the screen locked in portrait or landscape orientation. Locking the screen rotation will disable the gravity sensing function, thereby preventing the screen from changing its orientation automatically depending upon the angle at which it is held. Finally, we have a volume control and a rocker style button, similar to the volume control buttons we see on smartphones today. Since this is a laptop from Lenovo, it comes with a large number of installed items, most of which are complete garbage that should be uninstalled immediately. This can be a tough procedure for some of them because of some of Lenovo's installation practices, but in the end, it does run a lot quicker without them. McAfee LiveSafe is also installed, but I got rid of that as quickly as possible, with the recent issues that all of the antivirus makers have been having, not to mention the large performance hit I always seem to get when one of these packages is installed. I only run the Microsoft-supplied antivirus software, and instead police my own browsing appropriately. The machine does come with a 1-year subscription to Microsoft Office 365 Personal, which I have so far elected not to bother with, since I typically use Google applications for most of the Office-type projects that I create. I used PC Mark version 8.0 to get some performance numbers on this machine. The software was not able to recognize the video card installed on the machine and gave the machine an overall score of 1,207. The video card in the system is a standard Intel HD graphics chipset, part of the Celeron package. In terms of a comparison against other machines, this machine scored worse than a desktop PC from 2013. This is not really all that surprising, as it is a laptop with a relatively inexpensive CPU installed. As you can see from this screenshot, this machine performed better than a whopping 4% of all other results. As said before, this software was not able to detect what kind of video card is installed, but it was able to figure out the clock speed for the graphics card as being 460 MHz and the memory bus at 800 MHz. This last page of results is kind of damning of the problems that I think the software may have had, and a reason why it got such poor results. The reported stock core clock is 1600 MHz, whereas the reported turbo clock speed is way down at 479 MHz, which leads me to believe that something is going seriously wrong there, either from the software reading perspective or with the CPU itself. However, the 6 watts of power utilization is a very nice thing to see for a laptop. Aside from the PC mark testing, I perform a separate test of the processor that only tests the integer math capability of the processor. To do this, I use something called distributed.net, which is the Internet's first general-purpose distributed computing project. In essence, it tries to brute force the decryption of a message that was encrypted with RC5 at 72 bits in length. The project has already found keys for 56-bit and 64-bit key lengths. In the case of this machine, I was able to compare keys at a rate of 8.68 million keys per second. This may seem like a lot, but remember that this is a dual-core machine, so I was only getting 4.34 million keys per second per As a comparison, an Intel Core i3-4150 with 4 cores was able to go at a rate of 24.41 million keys per second, or 6.1 million keys per second per core. So this ends this review of the Lenovo Flex 3-1130. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you have anything to say, please leave your comments below.